aquifer, aquifer, aquifer. A layer of rock or sand that can be absorbed and hold water. An underground aquifer. Atmosphere, atmosphere, atmosphere. So the earth has an atmosphere that surrounds it, but you can also have an event or a party or a business or a culture, an area that has an atmosphere about it, whether it's an angry atmosphere or a lively, fun atmosphere, such as maybe a holiday party. Those can have atmospheres that surround it, that envelop it. But the atmosphere we are speaking about is the one that protects us and surrounds this great planet. Biodegradable. Biodegradable. It's able to be degraded in a biological way. It's biodegradable. Some would consider this to be a great thing for a product, which it likely is. It's a biodegradable product. That soap that I use on the dishes is biodegradable. I would consider that to be a good thing, though it would depend upon how you define biodegradable. And perhaps companies that like using a particular chemical would probably attempt to squeeze that into the definition of a biodegradable chemical. But biodegradable is capable of being slowly destroyed and broken down into very small parts by natural processes. Biodiversity. 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 It is, as it states, diversity, meaning many different things of a natural kind, bio. So the existence of many different kinds of plants and animals, the existence of many different kinds of plants and animals in an environment. Jungles are great examples of biodiversity. Carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide. A gas that is produced when people and animals breathe out, or when certain fuels are burned, and that is used by plants for energy. Carbon dioxide. Carbon monoxide. Carbon monoxide. Carbon monoxide is a poisonous gas that is formed when carbon is not completely burned, and especially when gasoline is burned in car engines. Carcinogen. 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 Cigarette smoke contains known carcinogens. It's something that can generate cancer. Carcino comes from carcinoma, and gen comes from genesis, so it generates cancer. Stay away from carcinogens, unless you love cancer. Climate. 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 Just like atmosphere, it can have a couple meanings. You can have climate relating to weather conditions of a particular area, or you can have a climate in a business or at a party. So a climate of fear at a party, or a climate of exuberance and excitement could be at a party. Saudi Arabia is a very warm or hot climate. Coal. 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 Coal, the earthly substance, is a combustible black or brownish black sedimentary rock, usually occurring in rock strata, in layers or veins called coal beds or coal seams. Compost. 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 As a noun, compost is where I put my food scraps, so bacteria can turn them back into earth or dirt, which would be great fertilizer for new plants, such as my garden. Compost, as a verb, meaning it's an action, it's the action of composting. Things that are in the compost are composting. We composted the scraps of pineapple in the compost. Conservation. Conservation. Conserve-ation. Conservation. To conserve is to protect something. Conservation is the idea of protection. So conservation is the protection of animals, plants, and natural resources. Now, I believe the American Conservative Party is not very conservative when it comes to the protection of animals, plants, and natural resources. In this day and age, it is perceived that the quote-unquote conservative party of U.S. politics stands in opposition to people who would want to conserve animals, plants, and natural resources. Conservationist. 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 Conservationist would just be somebody who works to conserve. It'd be a person. Somebody who believes in conservation would be a conservationist. Erosion. 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 As the ocean tide rises, it begins to erode the sandbanks. And year by year, more erosion will occur. As the river floods, more and more soil from the river bank is eroded, is taken back into the river and sent downstream. Extinct. Extinct. Extinct, meaning no longer existing. You can have extinct animals, an extinct idea. The idea that Earth is at the center of the solar system is an extinct idea. It no longer exists, thanks to Galileo and the telescope. Extinction. Extinction. Due to poaching and the removal of tusks or rhinoceros horn are soon to be extinct. They are going through perhaps an extinction phase, the phase in which things become extinct. Fossil fuel. Fossil fuel. Fossil fuel such as coal, oil, or natural gas is formed in the earth from dead plants or animals. And it is what we burn in vehicles and at power plants. Still to this day, but times and technology are changing. Geothermal. Geothermal. Getting heat from Earth. Places such as Iceland have tapped into this natural resource called geothermal power. A place in Klamath Falls, Oregon runs geothermal energy through their sidewalks. So when there is snow and ice due to winter storms, the sidewalks are warm enough to melt it off. Global warming. Global warming. Warming of the globe. Some people deny due to political reasons. Many scientists confirm the events of global warming. Some people deny the causes. But statistically, looking at the numbers, you can see the globe on a trend upward towards global warming. Green, as a descriptive word other than the color. So if something is green, it means it is earth-friendly, such as biodegradable or a zero-emission vehicle. That would be considered a green product. If you are being green, you perhaps could be recycling or reducing or reusing. Any one of those things could make one green. If you're a great gardener, your thumb would be considered green. A green thumb is an expert gardener. Greenhouse effect. Greenhouse effect. The greenhouse effect explains why global warming is taking place, and it uses carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, methane, deforestation to explain why the warming would occur. So the greenhouse effect explains that all these particulates are acting as a blanket trapping the sun's heat and not letting it escape back into space. Groundwater. 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 In regards to environmentalism, groundwater could be contaminated via fracking. some of the chemicals that they are injecting into the earth could find their way, and likely have found their way, to water sources that many individuals used, such as well water, groundwater, habitat, habitat. Deforestation removes living areas for certain animals, which is called habitat. A proper habitat for myself is not the middle of the desert. That is intolerable. The proper habitat for, say, some type of lizard could be the desert. A lizard would not fare very well in colder climates. That would not be a proper habitat. Herbicide. Herbicide. That H is silent. Not herbicide, but you'll find some people speak it that way. And perhaps in British English, you might find them saying herbicide. Herbicide, like suicide, like homicide. Suicide is to kill oneself. Homicide is to commit murder, kill somebody else. Herbicide is to kill plants. So it's a chemical used to destroy plants or even stop their growth before they start. Now, herbicides are likely carcinogenic, most of them, and you want to minimize the use of all herbicides. Many herbicides aren't biodegradable. Many of the components of an herbicide can persist in nature indefinitely. Landfill. Landfill. There's an area of land we've carved out and fill it with our trash that we don't recycle. That is called the landfill, and it stinks. Methane. 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 Methane is one of those greenhouse gases, a very potent variety. It is released from humans and cattle in the form of intestinal gas. Methane is flammable, and methane is a colorless and odorless gas. Nuclear energy. Nuclear energy. Nuclear energy. One of America's former presidents by the name of Bush used to famously mispronounce this word and called it nuclear energy. But it is nuclear energy. It is energy that can be released by the combining or separation of nuclear items, so protons or neutrons. Organic. Organic food is how all food used to grow before the dawn of artificial chemicals. Organic foods, or you could even have organic products, such as a shirt that is made with no chemicals. Ozone layer. Ozone layer. Ozone layer is in the upper atmosphere that prevents dangerous radiation from the sun from reaching the surface of the earth. Pesticide. Pest is side. Just like we spoke about herbicide kills herbs or plants, suicide, homicide, pesticide. Basically, it's just a killer of pests. So a killer of bugs and insects or animals. And this is usually used to protect crops from being damaged or inside people's homes. You can use a pesticide in your home to kill bugs or animals. Petroleum. Petroleum. A kind of oil that comes from below the ground, and that is the source of gasoline and other products. That's why in Britain and other European countries, I believe, they'll often refer to it as petro when they talk about filling up their tank. Pollutant. It's a substance that makes the land, water, or air dirty and not safe or suitable to use. Something that causes pollution. We have air and water pollutants, environmental industrial pollutants, chemical toxic pollutants. We've even got noise pollution. Say your neighbor turns up their music and they leave it on a long time. That would be a noise pollution. Say a company wants to install a factory near your house and their factory has large pieces of equipment that make noise 24/7 throughout the day. That would be noise pollution. Perhaps this company or any number of homes have street lights, lights of many different kinds, and if the beam of light is reflected up into the sky or points directly into the sky, it makes stars difficult to see. And we know this because if you drive into an area where there's very little civilization, you'll notice an explosion of stars that are able to be seen. In the middle of the ocean, you could imagine the most stars you could ever see. Now, in a city, you would have light pollution due to the light interacting with particles in the air, making it difficult to see the difference with the stars. Pollution, 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 pollution. The action or process of making land, water, air, etc., dirty and not safe or suitable to use. Pollutants cause pollution. Radiation. Radiation. So you can speak about something radiating, such as a good mood or a smile. Light is often described as radiating, but talking about radiation, you're more likely talking about the ionizing radiation, such as X-ray, gamma, cosmic rays can radiate or irradiate. In medicine, we'd use radiation for therapy called radiotherapy or radiation therapy. It's a type of dangerous and powerful energy that is produced by radioactive substances. Rainforest. 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 It's a tropical forest that receives a lot of rain and that has very tall trees. Recycle. Recycle. This is part of the 3 R's: reduce, reuse, and recycle. Recycle means you're putting this product back into the cycle as material, as a substance to be used to create something new. You can recycle old ideas. You can recycle products. Renewable. Renewable. Anything that can be regenerated, such as plants. Plants can be regenerated or renewed. Wind is a renewable energy. It will come again. It's not depleted. It's not, as we would describe it, finite. It seems to be infinite. It seems to be understood that wind will forever come. We can look at the sun as being infinite amount of energy. It's a renewable source. It does have its limits. It will run out. But as we describe it, we're talking in terms of humanity and not in terms of billions of years. Smog. Not the Hobbit dragon, Smaug, but smog. Smog is like filthy, stinky, stenchy fog. Fog mixed with smoke, a cloud of dirty air from cars, factories, etc. It's like smoky fog. Smoky fog. Solar. 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 It's relating to the sun always. Solar energy is energy captured by plants through photosynthesis. It can be captured via photovoltaic cells. Sustainable. Sustainable, meaning it can go on. Celine Dion's heart will go on, therefore it is sustainable. It is able to be used without completely used up or destroyed. Sustainable, such as sustainable methods of capturing the wind or the sun. As long as it keeps raining and snowing, hydroelectric power is sustainable. It's not always ecologically or environmentally friendly, but it's sustainable. Toxic. Toxic. Containing poisonous substances or carcinogens. Carbon monoxide is very toxic. Toxic waste. Toxic waste. It's a soup of toxic chemicals that are unwanted, that are the result of manufacturing or industry. Waste, waste, waste. The E at the end makes the A say its name. That is usually a flat out rule in English. Usually. In English, everything is subject to change depending on the word. But most things say its name. So the A says A. Waste. And the E we don't say. Not wasty, but waste. Waste. That is stuff that comes out of our body, such as urine or poopies. Waste is something that's not used. You can waste your money on a shirt you don't like and never wear. Wetland. 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 It's land that is wet, and it should be wet. It's a wetland where all sorts of animals and bacteria and ecological functions serve a very valuable purpose on a micro scale or on a very big scale, especially when it comes to places like Louisiana in the Gulf. Those wetlands that are developed and drained and then built on were serving a purpose as far as a buffer. So when the storm surge comes, that wetland area serves as that buffer to the most damaging aspect of a hurricane, which is usually the storm surge. Usually not the winds or the rain, but that surge, whether it's 5 or 20 feet. Wildlife. Wildlife. It's life that hasn't been domesticated, such as a dog. It's wild. It's wildlife. You could find wildlife in your backyard. You could find it on the savannas of Africa. You can find wildlife almost anywhere. The job of humans is to work with wildlife in a smart and compassionate way. To the animals of this world, we are wildlife. Windmill. 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 A windmill has always been used to cap the energy from the wind, causing an axle to turn, and can be used to create work, whether it is to mill grain, whether it is to use Faraday's law to generate electricity, whether it moves magnets or moves a wire across the magnet or across wires to create energy and transmit that downline to a power station and a storage facility or to an end user. Windmill. Windmill. I want to thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing, liking, sharing, commenting, and or donating, and I'll bring you more content. Let me know what you'd like to see in the future videos by leaving a comment here or on any social media platform, Facebook, Twitter, or better yet, you can go to seehearsaylearn.com and send me an email. I will see you all real soon, and keep reading. See it, hear it, say it, and learn.